So in the last episode of the Rekeita segment, Rekeita had, or I had, through counsel, filed a motion to allow recording in Rekeita's omnibus hearing. Rekeita's omnibus hearing is on the 21st. It's right around the corner. So it'll be next Friday is the time that I will be talking about the outcome of the omnibus. The omnibus is a very big hearing in Minnesota. It's basically where all pre-trial motions are submitted and handled in one big hearing. So they don't stagger this shit out. They don't make it drip feed for years. They take that right to a speedy trial shit pretty seriously. So everything that you want to say about excluding certain things, doing certain things before the jury is sworn in and before the actual trial begins, it must be done before the omnibus hearing. And the omnibus hearing hears all of it, including, interestingly, the request to record the omnibus hearing. So we're going to send in a guy. We have one in mind. He's an attorney in Minnesota who will venture out to the small county of Kaneohe County in the south central Minnesota to record the Spicer County, whatever county court handles it. And he'll go there. It's a long-ass drive from North Dakota down to Spicer. And then he'll set up his camera or try to come in. And then the very first thing that the judge will have to decide on at the omnibus is if he's going to allow him to record. So it's a big time investment with possibly no payoff. But I think he's going to go anyways. So if he goes anyways, he'll be able to take notes about what happened, which is obviously not as ideal as actually recording it. But he is making the commitment, and I appreciate that. And by the way, there's a chance that he may be retained very briefly for like 20 minutes to handle my petition for the omnibus hearing to be recorded. So if that happens, it's very, very funny that for a brief moment, me, a person of public interest, or I forget the name of my position. I'm not an intervener. I'm just a public, a member of the public, an interested public person. I will have two attorneys in the Rekeita case, and as opposed to the one the Rekeita has. That's just interesting to me. Anyways, that's beside the point. Unsurprisingly, kind of. I mean, I was kind of on a toss-up if Rekeita would even reply, because it's like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of protesting the footage for the trial? I mean, the minutes are all public anyway, so... Well, we'll see. I will spare you the full reading of this. Sean, potentially criminal, went over it, and I joined him for half of it, and then a little bit more, as he talked about some minutes from another transcript. But the gist of Rekeita's argument is this. First, the actual argument, and then the second, his pathetic, desperate flailing. There is effectively like one sentence in this dedicated to a meritorious argument, and that is that in the Minnesota procedure rulebook, which is drafted by the Supreme Court of the state of Minnesota, under Rule 4, it says very explicitly that the court shall not permit recording of any pretrial hearings or anything like that, including the omnibus hearing, mentioned by name. The audio omnibus is mentioned by name. And basically anything that happens before the jury is sworn in. And the idea is that they don't want the jury pool to be poisoned. However, unlike with statutory language, the language shall not is not as concrete in the rules. And both Hardin and also White in his response, I think that this entire response is drafted by Rekeita, by the way. It just reads like that. In particular, this whole thing is called Defendant's Motion in Response to Joshua Moon's motion. That is sloppy. It's not a motion. It's a response to a motion. So it's very weird to call this defendant's motion response to Moon's motion to allow, because that's not what it is. It's just a response. It's not a motion in and of itself. That's like a pro se level and White seems like a respectable attorney, which kind of indicates to me that Rekeita drafted this to save on money. That's just my thought on that. So the line in the rule book says shall not, but this rule was violated with the Chauvin trial, because they deemed that it was of great public importance that even the pre-trial stuff be allowed. In fact, there was another line in this before the Chauvin trial that said if the defendant didn't consent to the recording, then it wouldn't be permissible. It was another shall not. But the judge said, actually, this is of such monumental importance that we're going to allow it anyways. And then the Supreme Court, against his objections, and then the Supreme Court fixed that rule and just removed the defendant's ability to object to this at all. So it is possible that we'll get the omnibus hearing. If not, we'll have to wait until trial, assuming that it goes to trial. That's the most meritorious thing, and it's basically this paragraph right here. Argument won the law, and then he points this shit out, and that's basically it as far as the argument regarding the law. The rest of it is this shit. This guy has a forum account, or had. I've banned it. This guy's name is Jason Close. And in the off chance that Mr. Close is listening to this, I want you to know I despise you. You are the biggest, dumbest, fattest piece of shit. The fact that the government didn't abhorrent stain on our justice system. This moron filed a petition to Kandiyohi County for the warrant, claiming to be, quote, a voluntary member of the Kiwi Farm's investigation group. He is in no way, shape, or form authorized to represent himself as an agent of my website. And his cheeky little motion in private to Kandiyohi County is the basis of 99% of both Rekeita's ramblings in this document to try and confuse the judge, and also the entire basis of Rekeita's PR stunt. So this imbecile, and I'm willing to say that, I know that if he does it, it looks bad on me, it might get me into trouble. Nobody's going to miss a bell who goes out, and after collecting and being convicted of it, goes out and pretends to be somebody else's voluntary member. Like, for real, go yourself. Did Rekeita hire him? Maybe. There's actually an interesting thing, though. As much as this pisses me off, and we'll address it, because I am obviously going to respond to this and say that it's muckraking and bullshit. I did ban him. This guy. I changed his name. It was just QRist. The name QRist shows up elsewhere. For instance, chat, it shows up in Rekeita Law's Locals group. He's been a unpaid member following Rekeita on Locals since 2022, since September. Almost 2 full years on Locals. He also shows up repeatedly since at least November 2021 in Rekeita's chat. This is just a cursory glance of his old streams. Not only is he an active participant of this guy's live stream, he's a paying member. He's a customer. He has a direct buyer-seller transactional relationship between Jason Close and Nicholas Rekeita. Something that cannot be said about his account on the Kiwi Farms. He is not a true and honest supporter. As far as I know, he's never donated to my streams. So he's a special big fan of Nick Rekeita, and I'm sure that it upsets him that obviously we're just going to turn that around on him and say, not only is he also equally a member of Rekeita's fandom, if the concern then is that you have who is interested in your case and who wants these records, then it actually is in your benefit that this be televised. This guy, despite being a convicted, is fully able to fly to Spicer, Minnesota, show up at this courthouse, and attend the omnibus hearing in person. Literally nothing stops him. As long as he tells his officer, if he has travel restrictions, that he's going to Minnesota for a week or whatever, that can be arranged. He can attend in person, and if there are minor persons of Rekeita's relation in that courthouse, this guy will be in the same building as them, which apparently he's very afraid of. Well, if it's televised, then there's no such concern. If there's a safety concern, which it sounds like there is, then televising the event would be in your interest, because people like this, who are in your fan group already, who are members of your private service and who pay you money, who seem interested in you, They won't be able to attend in person because it will be televised anyways. So we're going to turn that argument on them.